there, darlings. Guess what I found today? A movie. Well, I think that's what this is supposed to be. You've probably seen the title of this video and are now thinking, that can't be right. Has Judy Garbage lost her ever-loving mind? Well, yes, but the title's still right. Because I'm not reviewing 2016's Suicide Squad. I'm reviewing 2016's Sinister Squad. Yes, the Asylum has struck again with another mockbuster, trying to ride the coattails of a heavily marketed, bigger budget film. Sinister Squad stars Johnny Ray Diaz, Christina Licciardi, Lindsay Sawyer, Talia Davis, Trey Ireland, Isaac Reyes, Fiona Renee, Joseph Harris, and Nick Principe. I may be pronouncing a couple of these names wrong. What's that? You don't care? Okay.
You sure our boy's gonna show?
Piper is waiting for someone in a remarkably clean alley, while Goldie stakes out the scene from a nearby rooftop. Have you caught on to this movie's gimmick yet? No? Let me continue.
Back home, this guy's the biggest of the big baddies.
Yeah, tough guy talk.
What kind of name is Rumpelstiltskin anyways?
That's right. This is Suicide Squad with fairytale characters. Aren't you glad you clicked this video today? A bad British accent tells Piper through more clunky exposition about how Rumples is expecting to meet a guy named Hans to get a piece of the magic mirror, and that we must be careful because it seems Rumples is also being followed by Death's messengers. They're not calling this a comedy. They're not saying what the hell they think it is, but they seem pretty serious about their little premise here. I mean, look, a dark and fun superhero thriller in the tradition of Dark Knight and Watchmen. Said no one, but that's what they want you to think. They are discussing the magic mirror piece Rumples is looking for like it's drugs, then the post-production crew decided to give us a glimpse of their CG skills, just to whet the appetite for all that's coming later. Did I mention Rumples is most of the time accompanied by silly sound effects? We get it! He's the Joker from Suicide Squad. Not gonna lie, Johnny Ray Diaz's performance here is making Jared Leto's look like Marlon Brando. Rumples runs into this guy. I guess he's one of Death's messengers? His clunky exposition tells us that Rumples is supposed to bring Death the magic mirror and Rumples broke it instead. Next thing we know, Rumples is knocked out and a woman in an outfit that's supposed to be sexy but kinda just looks incredibly awkward shows up and spouts off lingo from Alice in Wonderland. This is just an inkling because they're being really subtle about it, but I think she's supposed to be Alice. Yeah, that's one of those outfits that's just step, step, wriggle skirt back down, step, step, wriggle skirt back down. It's annoying me just looking at it. Rumples is tied up and Alice gives him more lines from Alice in Wonderland. We get it! She's Alice! That vacant stare in her eyes clinches it. Come on! Somehow, Rumples breaking the magic mirror ripped holes in the fabric of reality. This movie is a hole in the fabric of reality.
And Miss Goldilocks stepped out for her day. When she returns, we'll be nail busting. And all the 14 times.
I hope that wasn't important, because it was not coherent. And here's our big bad wolf. It turns out the mirror breaking somehow let a bunch of villains and beasts from the fairy tale world into the real world.
Unfortunately, you've also let something else in. Something worse.
This might be the origin story of the Asylum Film Company. They are pretty super villainous to brain cells. Alice tells Rumples to tell her everything he knows about Death and his messengers, and she will make his stay a tad more comfortable. Negotiations rarely go well when dealing in increments of a tad, but whatever. Goldie is pretending to be an escort to capture this guy. Okay, he has a beard, and it's blue. Who could he be? Goldie stabs him when he opens the door, and he begins twirling her around in a dance. And why not? Bluebeard threatens to kill her, then looks confused.
Poison should only take a minute or two.
So she poisoned him? He's not gonna do you any good if he's dead, but okay. Now comes the parade of villains. We've pretty much seen them all already, but whatever, it pads the film out to feature length, I guess. Rumples is a glorified con man, according to Goldie. Yes, as in Goldilocks, in case you hadn't divined that yet. Apparently, the big bad wolf was found eating the animals at the zoo when they took him down.
You didn't see what he did to those poor little pigs. What, you seen worse?
I've lived with worse.
I realize these cutesy little references to the fairy tales are supposed to be, clever, but no. No, they're just kind of cumbersome. But that's right, padding out full-length film. Go on. And of course, Bluebeard. He refers to his knives as his wives and gets stronger every time he kills someone. That one's kind of fun. I'll give him credit for that one. Good job, movie. Reports are coming in about bodies being found half-eaten, and Alice tells Goldie and Piper to capture the cannibal witch named Caraboss. Hansel and Gretel, I'm assuming. It seems that Death's messengers, when they are dead, can act as conduits for Death himself, and apparently Caraboss is in love with Death, but he doesn't seem to return the sentiment. And then apparently the messenger evaporates when Death leaves it. Okay. While passing through the hallway, Caraboss somehow telepathically says hello to Rumples, and he looks really confused. Yes, we're all feeling that way about now. Alice brings Rumples in to show him Death's scythe and wants to know what it has to do with the ritual. Foreshadowing. Rumples refuses to cooperate. Sometime during the night, Caraboss seems to be getting herself out of her straitjacket. Rumples bangs on his cell bars to get someone's attention. Tweedledee answers the call. Yes, in case you didn't see it before, Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Anyway, the witch kills Tweedledee and escapes. Despite knowing this, they're all hanging out here until the witch cuts the power to the security cameras. And to nothing else.
Why wouldn't she just leave?
Why indeed?
Here's an idea. Why don't you go find out? Caraboss finds the morgue, I guess, and we're apparently supposed to ignore the shadow moving across the sheet. Pay no attention to the man moving in front of the sheet. She summons Death into one of the dead messengers. Caraboss proposes to perform the ritual for him since everything they need is in the building. Meanwhile, more of Death's messengers arrive and someone yells at them to kill everyone and capture Rumples. Bluebeard escapes his cell and tries to kill Goldie again, but Big Bad Wolf breaks out of his cell and saves her by locking Bluebeard back up again. Alice saves Rumples from being shot by a messenger, then straps a steampunk cuff bomb on his wrist and says she will blow him up if he does anything other than help them kill the messengers. She then tells him to help her talk Gelda, the Queen of Hearts, into doing the same.
Gelda, baby!
Okay, got it. Rumples is Joker, obviously. Gelda is Harley Quinn. Big Bad Wolf is Diablo and Killer Croc rolled into one. Bluebeard is Deadshot. Caraboss is the Empress. Death is Incubus. And the messengers are those things. And the rest are good guys, so who cares?
Rumpy, you look terrible.
Sometimes bad acting is just embarrassing. Gelda can hypnotize any man to do what she wants, except for Rumples, the man she's in love with. Goldie asks the Big Bad Wolf why he never escaped before, and if he was eating animals at the zoo because he doesn't want to hurt people. Alright, change of cast. Goldie is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Big Bad Wolf is Angel with upside down teeth. Rumples is still trying to talk Gelda into putting the wrist bomb on and joining him.
And I waited for you to get your hands on that mirror, and you broke it.
Oh my god, we get it! Rumpelstiltskin broke the mirror. Rumples eventually talks Gelda into it. Gelda is brought to Bluebeard to hypnotize him into following Goldie's orders. Rumples finally tells Alice and everyone, accompanied with ominous music and silly sound effects, about how Death is just a big hustler. He had asked Rumples for the magic mirror so he could come control the real world, and Rumples broke it to keep him in, the underworld, the other world, wherever they're proposing Death normally is, and now Death can only enter the real world using his messengers as conduits.
Scary.
Yes, but for all the wrong reasons. He continues on to say that they need Death's scythe so Caraboss can perform a ritual that will summon Death into the real world. So if Death isn't in the real world, how are people still able to die? I wonder if that backdrop is supposed to be a garbage bag. Alice releases everyone to go kill the messengers throughout the building. Goldie, meanwhile, is trying to air out her armpits. Oh, no, wait, that was supposed to be a badass gun reveal. My bad. So messengers get killed everywhere, more jokes are made about the original fairy tales.
Yeah, at least it's not mice.
Are you referencing the rats in the Pied Piper story? The rats that are pretty much always referred to as rats and not mice? Fire your research team. Basically, until she can perform the ritual, Carabosse can only temporarily contact Death through recently dead messengers' bodies. So she has to keep killing them, and this irritates Death for obvious reasons, until she tells him that Rumples and Alice are working together. Meanwhile, Rumples tells Gelda that his plan is to pretend to help Alice so he can get into the armory to get more pieces of the magic mirror. I guess the mirror is somehow connected to Rumpelstiltskin's powers. They don't make that very clear.
What? Oh, Rumpy, you do care.
I just wanted to give you a glimpse of this clusterfuck I'm watching right now. Death tells Carabosse to summon him next in a place where he can talk to Rumples.
Did you have an accident? How about a pooper scooper?
Little known fact, that's the full title of this film. Sinister Squad. Did we have an accident? How about a pooper scooper? They very heavily imply that all of the villains are actually right, and Alice is actually kinda crazy.
Goldilocks, if you could be so kind, it's just occurred to me that we're missing a guest.
There's more?
Bring me Hatter.
Why couldn't they call the caterpillar instead? I could use some of what he's smoking about now.
You're killing me here.
My thoughts exactly. Apparently, the Hatter has the ability to go on trips. So they give him something to trip on to go to the underworld and find out what Death is planning. The underworld, it turns out, has a limited graphics budget. Piper tells Tweedledum he's sorry about his brother and, "Aw, that's so sweet." In his hallucination, the Hatter tells Alice Death needs his scythe and the proper attire, whatever that means. Hatter then says that Death has grand plans for Rumples.
What does Death want with you?
You were supposed to bring him the magic mirror. You broke it.
At least that was before he broke the magic mirror.
You broke it.
I broke it.
Haven't we been through this, Alice? Where were you for all those expositions? Meanwhile, Tweedledum is still hugging Piper when a messenger shows up. Tweedledum spins Piper around and takes the gunfire himself. I'm not an expert or anything, but I feel like those bullets would have gone through both of them, especially if they were that close. Tweedledum dies, which is fine because the gimmick doesn't work without both of them. I take that back. It really wasn't working in the first place. Anyway, before the messenger can get to Piper, Gelda appears and hypnotizes the messenger into shooting himself in the head. She then hypnotizes Piper into letting her into the armory. And this is why women should be in charge of the world. I'm kidding. There are other reasons. Alice threatens to blow Gelda up. Rumples talks her out of it. Alice says he has 10 minutes to talk Gelda out of taking the scythe.
Why do you care?
Because I love her.
I'm sorry, my warm fuzzies are at the dry cleaners right now. They won't be back in time for this nonsense. Alice has the witch summon Death to offer him a deal. Leave the real world alone, and she will give him Rumpelstiltskin. One thing I will give the guy playing Death is he has the best comedic timing. It's just too bad they don't give him any comedy to deliver. I also wonder if somebody should have noticed that tattoo poking out from under Death's collar. There's another sentence I never expected to have to say. Death ends up making a deal with Rumples. Death gets Rumples' body, and Rumples gets the underworld. If Rumples refuses...
Alice will lock you up, and I will know just where to find you, and I will keep coming and coming and coming.
Interesting threat there, Death.
Running as fast as I can.
Away from the copious amounts of death come, apparently.
Death comes unexpectedly.
Shut up, Carl Malden. Meanwhile, Alice is still threatening to blow up Rumples and Gelda. Gelda has the vial of magic mirror pieces Rumples is looking for. Whether this is all the pieces that they're missing, what this actually does for Rumples, we still have no idea, but moving on. Rumples promises Gelda they will be together forever, then he stabs Gelda and kills her. He steals the scythe, and because Gelda is now dead, Bluebeard is no longer hypnotized into doing what Goldie says. So Bluebeard stabs the wolf and gets the wolf's rage to take over. For some reason, Piper is just standing around next to the witch's cell with the scythe while Bluebeard wheels in behind him and stabs him. Apparently that scene where Bluebeard bought a hoverboard didn't make it past post. Alice locks herself in a cell to keep Bluebeard from stabbing her. Rumples is tied up in a cell and the mask is back on, probably because nobody wants to look at those teeth. Death informs Alice of what is going on while the witch is doing God knows what over Piper's body. Death and the witch open Rumples' cell and she brands him? Sure. Meanwhile, Goldie is running from Wolfie. Bluebeard stalking about in the background. Rumples is dragged out of his cell. Then Goldie kisses Wolfie and slaps him. This apparently wins Wolfie over, so they both attack Death and the witch. Goldie fights Death, Wolfie fights Bluebeard. Piper tries telling the witch that Death doesn't actually love her. Alice lets herself out of her cell. Bluebeard tries throwing a knife at Goldie and Wolfie jumps in the way, and a minute later Goldie falls down for some reason. Oh my god, I don't even care what the hell's going on anymore. Basically, it boils down to this. Goldie kills Bluebeard. Piper is still alive. Wolfie is still alive. Hatter wakes up. Rumples and Alice figure out to have Alice blow up Rumpelstiltskin's wrist bomb while Death is transferring over to Rumpelstiltskin's body, so now Death has no conduit for the real world. Rumples gets the cheesy graphics underworld to rule over with his Queen of Hearts by his side. So why is this in the dumpster? As I said, this thing was made to capitalize on the overmarketed DC film Suicide Squad. One problem with that is most people really don't like Suicide Squad either. Unlike Suicide Squad, however, this is almost, as the tagline suggests, super bad, but in a good way. It's painful. Oh God, is it painful, but at the same time, it's almost hilariously so. Unlike Suicide Squad, which is curl up in a fetal position and cry painful. So it's got that going for it, if nothing else. Yeah. Honestly, it's not that bad of a premise if you weren't trying to follow the Suicide Squad format. Maybe you got better writers, better actors, better production value. So yeah, you took this premise and changed everything else about it. Maybe you'd have something. In the meantime, I think I'm putting this back in the dumpster. Excuse me.
And I will keep coming and coming and coming.
Oh my god, this movie's giving me gas.